Looks like some big changes happening over at Disney as their board of directors have sent out a panicked plea to investors in a final attempt to stave off what appears to be an even more likely hostile takeover, at least hostile addition from two different people now who want the company to focus on making money and not pushing politics. Just the other day, I reported on the fact that Disney's chief or president of film is essentially the person in charge of their woke remakes gone out of the company, and new murmurs as a new CEO, a replacement for Bob Iger. Now, look, Bob Iger, there's a contract in place. His exit is already planned. His exit plan is, kind of already there. But this is an interesting wrinkle out of the board of directors. Now, Disney makes a desperate attempt to sway shareholders ahead of annual meeting. The Walt Disney Company is holding its annual shareholder meeting on April 3rd, which is still more than a month away, and it's urging shareholders to cast their votes in a proxy battle. Disney is battling two activist groups seeking spots on the board of directors, and the company is making every effort to ensure that doesn't happen. We've seen Professor Ludwig von Drake showing how to cast a vote, a video featuring CEO Bob Iger, and now Disney has updated its website with important information, essentially begging investors, the plebes, the retail shareholders, to back the existing board of directors, which ultimately they are the people in charge of hiring people like Kathleen Kennedy, hiring people like Bob Chapek / Bob Iger, and all these woke idiots that they bring in. The Walt Disney Company is holding its annual shareholder meeting on April 3rd. In January, Disney revealed the 12 nominees that they endorsed for the board of directors and shared their official rejection of the activist nominees, Nelson Peltz and James Rizzullo. Now, these two individuals, essentially like how Elon Musk did it with Twitter, bought their way onto, or want to buy their way onto, the board of directors. They've accumulated enough Disney shares to be able to say, like, hey, we want to say, we own so much stock, we want to say in how you run your business. This is one of the downfalls, I suppose, of being publicly traded. Disney has been making quite the effort to urge shareholders to vote. They've enlisted the help of Professor Ludwig von Drake and, of course, CEO Bob Iger to help inform and guide shareholders to vote for Disney's nominees rather than the two trying to force their way onto it and get the company focusing back on making good films and less on progressive politics. The nominees, rather those from Tryon and Blackwell's, the Vote Disney website was created to help Disney's case and has been updated with a new fact versus fiction. So they've added an entire... They're so afraid of this that they've launched an entire desperate website. We're going to take a look at it. In an official statement, Disney stated that the board does not endorse the nominations of Nelson Peltz or James Rizzullo put forth by Tryon Fund Management and its affiliates, led by Nelson Peltz and supported by former executive director Isaac Perlmutter. The board recommends that shareholders do not vote for the Tryon Group nominees and reject a related proposal from the Tryon Group to amend the company's bylaws. Well, we know that these guys want to make money. They don't want to, they're more interested in making money, a return on their investment, as opposed to pushing woke politics. I mean, think of all the billions that Disney has lost in the last year alone. And they're already panicking and raising ticket prices at their parks again. By the way, I just saw this. Where is this? News. Oh, no, wait, where was it? Walt Disney World will increase ticket prices again. What looks like another 10% in some cases, $20. It's $174 for a single ticket to get in Epcot. That's insanity. But I digress. The statement continued, quote, Disney's board of directors urges shareholders to protect their investment and the future of the company by voting the white proxy card and only Disney's 12 nominees and not the Tryon Group or Blackwell's nominees. Shareholders can now vote and must have their votes submitted by April 3rd. Hey, if you're a Disney shareholder, and you're not too pleased with the progressive politics that they're cramming in everything, trying to groom kids and all that, allegedly, make sure to vote. Now, Disney is adamant that you do not vote for the Trian Group. Disney has updated the Vote Disney website, which was originally created to provide information to shareholders ahead of the meeting and refute a handful of claims that Peltz and others have made, like the one below. Mr. Peltz claims that the board on which he sat have on average outperformed the S&P 900 by 900 BPS annually. The truth, well, maybe not so true. Peltz also reportedly claimed that Disney refused to engage with him throughout the entire proxy battle drama, and Disney claims that they have had no less than 20 meaningful interactions during this time. It's clear that Disney is relying on shareholders to vote against Peltz, Rizzullo, and the Blackwell Group nominees. If you're a Disney shareholder, make sure you submit your vote. You have until April 3rd to cast your vote. We'll find out the results at the 2024 annual meeting. Now, on April 3rd, 2024, which is not that far away, we could see a major shakeup on the Disney board of directors. You could get two people who are allegedly mostly just interested in making money and not pushing progressive politics on kids. Now, I don't own any Disney stock. I actually don't own any stock at all, but I assume some of my viewers do. And, when you actually look at the Disney stock, for a layman, it's not doing that bad. It seems that, if you look at Disney stock, today it's up 1.42%. In the last 5 days, the last month, it's done very well. It's up 13.8%. The last 6 months, it's gone up 26.56%. Seems pretty good, right? I mean, ultimately, over the last year, it's done well. Now, over 5 years, if you had invested in this company in 2020, 2021, 2022, you've probably lost a lot of money. Because, of course, there was a peak share price of nearly $200 a share. So if you look at, the 5-year max, this doesn't seem right. It looks like it's down. It's $108. So it's down nearly half. It's down nearly half of where it was, at its peak in 2021. So this is where they think it should be, $200 a share, and it's at $100. So I suppose that's their argument. But the fact that they've launched this entire website, he's like, false claim. In his letters to shareholders, Nelson Peltz claims that he has media expertise. By the way, they said I have no media expertise. I don't claim to have any, Nelson Peltz. Trian claims that Jay Rizzullo's media experience and business acumen will be additive to the board at Disney. The truth. Mr. Rizzullo left Disney in 2016, and 8 years later, his perspective on the media industry is stale. Since he joined iHeartMedia's board in 2019 as lead independent director, the stock has declined by nearly 90%. Okay, savage burn, I would say. Mr. Peltz claims Trian partners have a stake of roughly $3 billion or 33 million shares in Disney and speak for all shareholders. Well, according to Trian's own filings, Mr. Peltz and Trian Media own 6.8 million Disney shares, fewer than the 9.4 shares they owned just a year ago. Now, interesting if that's true. Shareholders should ask Trian if it speaks for them why it continues to sell down its stake, including selling over 500,000 shares between September 30th, 2023 and December 31st, 2023. Well, I suspect they probably were selling down their stake because the company was underperforming during that phase. So they launched this whole thing, right? This whole thing to try and debunk. Now, I'm not a fan. I don't know. I'm not stumping for Nelson Peltz or any of these other people. But it is interesting to see just how the worm wiggles a little bit. The absolute freak out that we're seeing here from Disney. I mean, sending a letter to shareholders highlighting clear progress made and promises kept as it executes strategic transformation. We know now that they're essentially going to, pivot back to hyper-masculine superhero films. At least that's what they allege. Now, top Disney executive Kevin Mayer, tipped as the prime contender to succeed Bob Iger, spotlights 3 traits the next CEO might have. Well, I don't know. He looks like a white guy to me. I'm not sure that that is the correct choice for Disney. I mean, that's just me, just another white guy. But hey, I suppose it could be their money. It could be, I mean, they'd have to explain that away, right? That doesn't look very diverse. So it's going to be interesting to see. Disney's cramming up prices. They're cutting back spend. They're making somewhat smart decisions. They're laying off a bunch of people. But this board of directors seems absolutely terrified that someone might invade them. And, well, I guess the anarchist in me just wants to see a little craziness. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.